Every time you grew through one of life's vital periods without incident, you came forward empowered. It doesn't take much, only the simple ability to start at one end and come out the other without accruing irreparable damage. This healing addresses the places where you went in and got stuck. The cycle, in a nutshell, looks like this. Relative details gripped awareness to the point that the soul's origins were obscured. The nervous system took shape around this experience, resulting in perceptual blockages. These blockages corrupted self-perception. Ultimately, self-perception is the pathway back to divine grace. Healing attention focuses on clearing the corruption and blockages to your truest self-perception. Which relative details tend to grip your awareness personally comes from ancestors as well as your own past. Also, your responses to the formation of blockages comes from very old conditioning. This particular response system seems to be very slow to change. Most often the challenges that you are facing now are those that were not solved by predecessors. On the other hand, we tend to also carry strengths that our forebears possess. Also, if there is a sticky passage, it can happen that you got through in past lives, but only superficially. As the soul evolves, one is required to attend to the nuances of the passage. Often, a challenging period in this lifetime is a detailed review of a lesson learned superficially in the past. The astral body is opening to the long passage of time and experience. This allows you to access a larger pool of impression and information for the sake of stabilizing successful patterns of behavior now. A guide for navigating larger bodies of detailed information is also being received as a download. The guide follows the simple principle of bringing that information which aligns with the trajectory of your evolutionary flow at this time. Evolution and integration of divine truth are always the first rule. The first rule is established in the mental through physical levels of the body. Behind that, integration, honesty, virtue, etc., are also taking a higher seat in the hierarchy of priorities. Human intelligence is really vast. We are required to understand the breadth and depth of our capacity before graduating. Graduating means that divine being fully integrates with all expressions of oneself. It fully integrates with the mental and emotional bodies that are growing through a particular experience. Growth causes intelligence to expand, and with it, the capacity to understand experience even more deeply. Self-referral loops of consciousness continue to expand reality directly through the human experience. Referring to the areas of obstructed growth, clearing guilt, shame, fear of making mistakes from the neck and throat area, from the vocal apparatus. Under that clearing, impressions of failure and getting stuck. Being stuck correlates with prisons, hospitals, and ashrams. These three expressions of losing freedom reside at the last phase of development, the 12th house in the astrological chart. The final stages of development before the transition to a new awakening. This is the most advanced part of the growth process. When preceding growth is completed, then the last phase can unfold without hindrance. However, the dynamics of the final strokes of evolution will illuminate previous phases that require tweaking. This last phase can take as slowly as required in order to place the internal landscape of consciousness and energy in order. Consciousness is becoming very fluid. It moves through space and time effortlessly. Your God presence can move back into the deep recesses of time and isolate the areas where the energy is the most stuck. often, these areas are shrouded in deep discordant feelings. The darkness is being illuminated in a simple manner. These areas are unresolved because wholeness is not fully integrated. The integration is unstoppable. Divine being can rise up in any form whatsoever. It takes specific shapes that consume the darkness. Amazing. The darkness is the first energy to move across the gap, to be reborn as pure divine expression. I have to laugh. I thought that the light would be the first to unify with Source, but apparently not. The light, healing energies in the body, the angelic forms, these stay in the material field even after the darkness has returned to the source of creation. They, the light beings, or causal forms, have the job of reshaping and healing the material form of the body after the darkness has been consumed by the ocean of pure fulfillment. Knowing that this pattern occurs naturally, then the whole body system relaxes into the process and allows the darkness to pass through the door to the source of creation first. There is a big letting go of attachments here. We have to be in no rush, surrendering to eternal now. Do you see? Even as one lives life on the highest moral ground, highest devotion, highest virtue, etc., this does not guarantee being the first to enter the light of divine perfection and grace. It only guarantees that you will be the instrument for more and more overwhelming experiences and challenges to find their way back to the light. This is the human task, to integrate the perfection of wholeness into all of the lost parts of this material world. It is a big task, but you only have to do the part reserved for your individual soul, no more. As long as you are still anchored to your own divine source, then the work continues. When the system becomes overwhelmed, then you get to take a rest too. All of the light beings, yourself included, are already living the reality of the source of creation manifested. Therefore, there is nowhere to go, yes? Why do the dark forms of creation appear to be the first to enter the kingdom of heaven? Because they experience themselves as out of heaven. As long as we are still anchored to divine being, there is no in or out. There is just the light of purest truth. May we all rest deeply in the perfection and grace of divine eternal love. Thank you for being with me.